organization, every leadership team of every organization will have a strategy. A strategy is a roadmap of how we navigate, the VUCA situation that we are in, and how can we actually come out of this successfully, a post-pandemic. And we need to have a very clear roadmap of how we're going to get that done. And last week I spoke to you about employees and patient experience. These are the two things strategically very important that's going to help us come out of this COVID crisis that we are actually facing. And I call them the enablers of our success as a healthcare organization. If you measure, and I mentioned about the Organizational Health Index, OHI, the various parameters of OHI. And if you then look at what are a couple of things that we as a group or the leadership that is looking at an overall strategy, what is the 2 or 3 things that we need to be focusing on that will help us successfully come out of this COVID crisis? Okay, and these slides I've shared before, but I'm going to share it again. Here we are. That's the King Hamad American Mission Hospital that is currently being built. Okay, it's on the runway. Our mission statement is right at the bottom, and our vision statement is right at the top here. None of that has changed. Okay, we are here day to day to provide high quality care to all of those people who come into care, and this care has to be a very high quality. It has to be affordable. So that mission statement has not changed. Neither of our vision of being a leader in healthcare, not just in Bahrain, maybe in the GCC, maybe on planet Earth, as far as I'm concerned, and we can do it. And you can see that this building block started early, late 2020, and we are almost halfway around 2021. And then you will see that by about October, November of 2022, King Hamad American Mission Hospital will be fully built and hopefully commissioned, so that by 2023, definitely by the beginning of 2023, we will have a takeoff. Okay. So that's actually what is actually happening on the ground as we speak of our long-term strategic vision of where we are actually going. The immediate things that we're dealing with on a day-to-day operational basis are that's slightly different, and I will talk about that in a minute. These 4 P's are terribly important. Okay, the purpose. Why we exist, and I will come back to the purpose at an individual level. Healthcare is about dealing with or caring for people by people. Okay, robots is not going to take over our job, even though we might automate and digitize a lot of processes. But at the end of the day, it is our hands that will actually heal patients that actually come to us. So it's a service organization for people by the people. And I don't think that's going to change regardless of the tech revolution that is happening here. Processes in how we're going to do it is certainly going to change. It has already changed, and it will continue to accelerate the change. And whether we like it or not, this change is an inevitable process that's actually going to sweep through us in how we do our day-to-day business of caring for patients. And ultimately, productivity. Productivity is the sum total of what we create at the end of the day. That is what is going to determine the success. The health of an organization is just not how the processes are. At the end of the day, we need to be a viable organization going forward. So these are the various elements, the big things that are always in my forefront that I focus on. The purpose of the American Mission Hospital, my own purpose of being in this organization, so similarly your own personal purpose of being here, and how we can come together as a team, do things very creatively that's going to push the processes in a way that we will become an outstanding healthcare provider. The thing that actually stands in the way of all of this is this thing called culture. Okay, culture is in simple terms is the way we do business. Okay. If you're lazy, if you are slow in adapting to change, and if wasting of time is the culture of an organization, all of these are impediments or obstructions or obstacles to the rapid change that we will have to make if we have to be a very healthy organization. So culture is this big thing that stands in between the success. We know where we need to get to. Our journey is well set, the strategy is well set, but sometimes culture comes in the way and can torpedo the best of intentions of what we want to do. Now, I showed this slide before. This is the kind of employee that we want to bring into this organization. Okay? And I just want you to take a minute and look at this slide and see whether in your own personal things, do you fit in all of those parameters that I've actually put up there. Because if you do, then that's the kind of employee we actually will thrive by. The health of the organization will increase when we have employees that tick all of those boxes there. Self-development, competency, adaptability, greater purpose, capability, and teamwork. Okay? So when we hire individuals into the organization, and this is where HR becomes a big part of what we do, certainly looking into the future, where we have to bring in at least 300 to 350 new employees into the organization. That is actually going to sort of dilute the culture or enhance the culture any way you want to look at it. So it is key that we look at what is the kind of employee that we are actually looking to bring into the organization. As far as I'm concerned, I've actually put it out there. This is the kind of employee that I'm actually specifically looking at when we look to bring in new employees to make this organization what it should be. And of this, the single biggest thing in all of this is your greater purpose. I cannot emphasize enough. If you don't have a greater purpose in your existence, in being alive, and if you don't have a greater purpose of being part of this organization, then you're here just sort of another employee ticking off, checking in, checking out. But your life is not going to be productive here. And if your personal life is not productive here, then the organization is not going to be productive because of your presence here in the organization. So all of us need to have a greater purpose. And this greater purpose defines your mission, your vision, and in lots of ways, our job in executive management is to give you, every single employee, the opportunity to excel and be what he or she wants to be being part of this organization. Your self-development, and I can't repeat enough, I can't emphasize enough, your self-development is key to your own personal growth and to the growth of the organization. And I'm so excited, when I see people join for masters, in quality or masters in health administration. There are so many people doing a lot of amazing stuff in the organization. And when they achieve great stuff, we will celebrate their success here because their success is our success. As I mentioned, we've got about 4 people who are already CPHQ certified, and we might have another 3 people. To have an organization with 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 people CPHQ qualified is amazing. And similarly, I'm pushing for people to get their masters in healthcare quality, health administration, whatever you guys want to dream of. I want to make sure that these dreams become real. For me, my journey has been a very humble, simple journey. I started off as a physician, like any one of you, and then was just very fortunate in life to train in the best centers in the world in terms of pediatrics and neonatology. I look back at my 35 years in medicine, and never did I imagine that I would be a CEO of an organization. I certainly was a very committed, passionate neonatologist, where I looked after babies for about 28 years. But I never dreamt that I would go into management and be a CEO and lead an organization. And I certainly didn't even dream when I first came here 11 years ago that I would be involved in the kind of transformation that AMH is going through. It was one thing after the other, and now that KH-AMH is happening. And trust me, we're not going to be finished with that. A lot of people think that KH-AMH is going to be it. I don't think we're going to finish with that. This journey will carry on. So, but in order for you to be part of the journey, and I always say, you need to dream dream big and your dreams have to be very intentional. Because otherwise you wake up and the dream is gone. Okay? So there's a lot of hard work that actually goes behind setting your dreams and your visions. And this hard work is quite backbreaking, systematic, sometimes boring, mundane kind of work that we all have to do, which includes taking competencies in hand washing or infection control or lifting, the various things that we do in the organization from BLS to ACLS. There's so much of activity happening in the organization, from speechcraft to every other craft, including handcraft, competition. But we are a very creative bunch of people. It's amazing the talent that is buried in the length and breadth of this organization. And only if we could come together and tap it, to create what we are building, then we become what we will become, a fantastic healthcare organization. And it all starts with the greater purpose in your life. And it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter whether you are young as Jay or as old as me or anywhere in between. It really doesn't matter. It matters on how you look at your own life and look at your own dreams, and then how you sort of take your dreams to whatever level you want to be. There is never a stage in your life where you feel that you know it all, you've learned it all, and we can stop it all. Okay. For me, I am a kind of person that I want to be learning, till the day I die. That's me. I want to learn something new each and every day. And I learned something yesterday. I will share with you. Do you know what the full form of SWIFT is? You know what SWIFT is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bank transactions.
Yeah.
Do you know what SWIFT is? It's called the Society of the World International, Telecommunications Instruction. That's what SWIFT is. It's mundane details. I was looking through somewhere, and I came across SWIFT in one of my readings, because just as how SWIFT has transformed banking. Now you can send money anywhere in the world, because in the SWIFT is contained all your data that actually protects the data to ensure that the money transfer from one point to the other is secure and it's encrypted. So that's what the SWIFT code tells you about. Okay. Similarly, the same kind of processes is now coming into healthcare, and this is called liquid data. Liquid data. Normally, data is hardwired into blocks. Liquid data is like liquid; it can flow anywhere. Okay, gravitationally it can flow up or down depending on where you want to sort of flow. And liquid data will seamlessly connect patient flow data across multiple platforms, from your personal social media to a electronic healthcare record, into the community, and you as an individual will give the permission for people to access your data. So no longer will hospitals control the data, the patients will control the data. For example, if I have to access Jay's medical records, Jay will have to give me permission to actually have a look into his data. So a lot of things are happening in the digital world of healthcare that is completely going to change the way we will actually deliver healthcare, and we better be prepared for it. Okay, and this is already happening all around the world. So I'm just giving you a taste of it, and all of you know what BTC and NGU is. If you don't know, BTC is bend the curve, and NGU is what?
Never give up.
Never give up. Okay? We need to bend the curves in the right direction. We don't want to bend the curve in the wrong direction. Now the curve for everything is bent down. Unemployment, underemployment, financial difficulties. That's the curve that is going down. We have to bend this curve up, and NGU will never give up, regardless of the challenges that we face. And again, coming back to the people, which is the core part of our strategic imperative, getting out of COVID. Finding and hiring the right people, learning and growing, managing and rewarding performance, tailoring employee experience. That is the experience you have within the organization. Optimize workforce planning and strategy, and foster a culture of learning, trust, transparency, teamwork. Those are our values there. Okay, so this is the kind of organization that we need to be. And the culture that I talk about, rather than being an impediment or an obstacle, should be a stepping stone or an enhancement to all of us, so that we foster a culture of learning plus transparency, teamwork, and we all are interested in our own self-development. Okay. So I say that, if you ask anybody, do you want a salary rise every year? People will say yes. Do you want a salary rise every 6 months?
Yes.
People will say yes. Then I ask you, do you want a salary rise every day? People will still say yes. And then I say that if you want a salary rise each and every day, then come to work each and every day, learn something new, and give something new. If you do that, you are actually becoming richer by the day. If today you learn something, some of you have now learned what the full form of SWIFT is. So now you know what a SWIFT is. When you make a bank transaction, you know exactly what it is. Okay? So similarly, when you learn something each and every day, you become that more richer in your knowledge. And you can share that knowledge with somebody else, and you can make somebody else richer as well. So that way, each and every day, you are getting a salary increase. You are getting a salary increase. But you know what? The problem is, we as human beings are fixated just on the cash part of it. Actually, the richness and value comes in so many other ways other than this paper money. Okay? Paper money is important, but that's not the only thing that's important in life. The most important things in life is knowing and learning how to live effectively. And the time that God has given us on planet Earth, however long or short that is, to use each and every day to make a difference in the life of another human being. Okay? And it doesn't matter what your role is. Whether it is Jay, or whether it's Sakina, whether it's Joel, the chaplain, it doesn't matter. Okay, your roles are important here, and that's why as individuals, as employees, as people, your experiences within the organization is important for you, important for the organization, important for the patients that actually come into the organization. So how do we shape our recovery from the headwinds of COVID? I've just given you all of that. And in hard numbers, we need to recoup our patient numbers, improve efficiency, reduce waste, and reduce our fixed costs. That's the nuts and bolts of it. Okay. Now, customer-focused innovation. Everything is about patient experience in the front line. We need to digitize and automate, and that's a relentless process that's already happening. Keep it simple. We don't want any complex, complicated issues. And the best organizations to simplify everything. You don't want policies that will kill policies. Okay? Policies have to be practical, easy to adopt, and easy to change if it is necessary. We need to understand, but do not fear the risk. I know the risk that an organization faces because of COVID, both in terms of so many different aspects, because I know what our balanced scorecard is. But do I fear the risk? I don't. Okay? I need to learn to manage the risk so that I don't fear and live in fear. But I have the faith that with a collective team of 600 amazing employees, we can actually overcome pretty much everything. But we need to sort of work hard at reducing our fixed costs. That is what kills us, when patient numbers are low. And this is an actual slide that shows the trajectory of how we grew from 2013 all the way to 2020, pre-COVID. We were hitting about 300,000 patients by 2020, and it was a very steady growth right up to here. And then COVID hit, and that was 2020. What happened to our numbers? From 300,000, we fell to about 240,000 patients last year, 2020. And this is the new trajectory that I have actually got, looking at realistically what is happening around. The new trajectory of numbers that actually looks at our slow recovery. And if I look at 2021, that's end of this year, we will be barely up by about 10% from the numbers that we had last year. And if you track these numbers back, these numbers go back to about 2016, 2017. So we are at now 2017 numbers. So the COVID has pushed us back by about 3 years. Literally 3 years. It has pushed us back 3 years. And this is actual data. Okay, this is not projected data. But my projection going forward is that 2021 we will be slightly better than 2020. By end of 2022 we will slightly improve, but again we are still far away from the projected target that I had when I created the 10-year strategic plan. And by 2023, 2023, this is end of 2023, we will be closely getting to the numbers which I projected some time ago. So this is what the impact of COVID has been on us, on patient numbers, and these are just outpatient numbers. And outpatient numbers directly translates into cash. Okay, you can multiply this with a figure, and that's the revenue. Okay, other than the inpatient revenue, and that's why Dr. Matthew was talking about. We've got an operating room and several surgeons. If the surgeons' operating lists are not full, and their CURs are sitting at 30%, 35% for OR occupancy, then we've got a lot of spare capacity and we're not utilizing the capacity at all. So that's the other boost that will actually happen. So these are actual numbers. Okay, so this is a kind of a thing that I look at and I say, okay, fine, this is where we are. But the good thing for us as an organization is we had the capacity to absorb the shock. A lot of organizations just don't have this capacity to take the shock. It's layoffs and salary cuts and all kinds of things happen. In the midst of all of this, we are building this amazing new hospital. In the midst of all of this, and in fact, I look at this as an opportunity to get the best deal, to build the hospital, to equip the hospitals in the midst of the COVID crisis. So we are full on building the King Hamad American Mission Hospital. I'm quite confident that as we come out to 2022 and 23, we will actually be quite strong and we'll be back on the road to recovery. And I put this slide before, may the winds always be at your back to push you forward. Right now, many of us in our personal lives, we feel that the headwinds are completely against us, and we've been pushing against this headwind hard for maybe a year, maybe 18 months. We might not have traveled. I myself personally have not traveled for close to 15 months. I haven't traveled. I haven't seen my kids. I haven't seen my grandkids, even though I FaceTime them and see them. And so many of you are in that boat as well. Okay, the closeness we have with family and friends are through social media and through technology rather than in presence, socialization. So all of those are headwinds against us. And I think as a supportive, caring organization, we need to, number one, support each other. And do not forget that every patient that comes into this organization has also faced these headwinds, and that's why they're sitting in front of you. Do not treat them like just another patient. I always say this. Do not treat them just like another patient. Treat them as though they are your father, your mother, your uncle, your aunt, your sister, or your child, because that's what compassion, grace, and love is all about. Treating somebody else and knowing that you care for them exactly as you care for your own. And if we do that, patient experiences will be outstanding. Our NPS scores will continue to improve. And then if you continue to focus on your own personal growth and development, and on your own personal health, by the way. Health means both your physical health and mental health. They're both important. Okay? And so because emotionally, if you're kind of worried about so many things in your life, you can't come to work and then have your mind in full focus here. So it is important that, if you have to take a holiday, take a holiday. If you want to do yoga, do whatever it is, do whatever it takes to get your mind back so that your physical and emotional and spiritual and mental health is all in one piece together so that you can be the best person that your patient wants them to be. On that happy note, have a wonderful weekend and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.